Could have just said heaven. Hey, welcome to the Winner Circle, the podcast covering jiu-jitsu, MMA, and other combat sports. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, as always, my podcast partner, Isaiah Gathings. Hopefully, our other partner, Chris Walker, be on pretty soon. If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Center Network. And on Mondays, you got the Winner Circle with myself, Isaiah Gathings, Chris Walker. Tuesdays, you can get the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. Wednesdays, you can get the Traditional Way with Brett Shumway. Thursdays, it's Fifth Kicks and Flicks with myself and Joe Hartley. For more information, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms. Just look for the Martial Arts Center Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. And don't forget about the main app. Zeke, it's showtime. What's going on, man?
Not a lot, man. Not a lot. Just another day in Wonderland, right?
That's right, man. That was crazy. So I'm literally saying, like, man, I'm getting a message saying that I just lost my internet connection, and we just pop on.
Gotta be ready, man. Gotta be ready, man. Gotta be ready in showbiz, man.
We were sitting here talking for about 20 minutes.
Yeah. I think we did a show privately. I think we privately did a show and probably deprived the public of some really good stuff. I always hate that. Like, we'll start talking. I'm like, we should probably be on right now. You know what I mean? Like, I want to save all my intellectual energy for when we're streaming, but I have to finish this conversation. And then it just goes into something else.
There you go. So what's up, man? How's life in Vegas?
It's good. It's better than life treating y'all out there, man. I heard it's freezing that way. You know what I mean?
It's a little cold, man. I mean, this time of year, 50s in Michigan, we're used to it. October time, fall, got the leaves everywhere,
Nightmare. And it's I bet you it's gonna rain on Halloween. It would always rain on Halloween.
Yeah, it has to.
And it's going to rain, and you know that it is.
Yeah.
I won't be there. My students are, God bless them. My instructors, I'm sorry, are doing a trunk or treat for the kids. And I'm just like, you know what? I got cameras at the school. I can join you guys via stream and enjoy the children in their costumes, but I ain't with it. No, I can't do it.
So I've been holding my black belt camps for my students on Fridays. So I told them I'm not going to have them come in on trick or treat. So I gave them a Friday off.
Okay.
So I'll make up for it this week in class.
Yeah.
That's how we'll take care of that. All right. Do you have any students out there in Vegas or anybody that you're working with that's getting ready for a fight or anything?
Currently, I don't have anyone. I had two fighters. One of them being my son that I was working with. He got a different. He recovered from his minor knee procedure. And he's obviously done some competing since then. But he had got a new job, and that meant the new schedule. And he had moved, so he's got a little one now. So it's like, there's a lot of life that's lifing right now. So he's just trying to navigate and negotiate through that. But he'll probably be back to training because he wants to compete in the WMAC regional qualifiers and the Worlds next year. Okay. So he's already talking about that. So he'll probably be back at the top of the year. And then my other fighter, he had a shoulder surgery. So that sidelined him. And which is why he missed the championships, and we had to cancel a couple of his fights. And now he's healing up. He'll probably be healed up by the end of the year. And again, at the top of the year, he'll probably be jumping back too. So I'll probably be working with the two of them again starting in January. Once life settles down, he gets through the holidays and just kind of heal up. But for right now, got nothing going on out here.
Okay. Hey, at one point in time, weren't you training out of Extreme Couture out there?
Yeah, so what happened, this was several years ago when Dewey's program was, I don't want to use the word smaller, but he was working with more high-level individuals at that time, and he wasn't really working with a lot of amateurs. A lot of people don't know, but my son is one of the first amateurs that he worked with in MMA. He had a rule he would not work with amateurs, and he refused to do it. So he had a very small stable. I reached out to him prior to moving out here and talked to him, and he had already seen videos of my son, heard a lot about him already, and was excited to meet him. And initially, he took my son on. He was one of the first people that he worked with from the amateur perspective for MMA. He had maybe a couple people in the past, but it wasn't something that he was really advertising or focusing on. So he had one amateur boxer that he was working with that was living with them, and then my son. My son was off and on at this point in time. He was the move was new. He wasn't especially happy, you know, just to be in a new environment, a new group of individuals. It was a life change. So he kind of gave a half effort for like the first 4 or 5 months. And I was like, look, man, like, you know, this is a high level, you know, martial artist and coach that's taking you on as a protege, like to work with you, you know, like he's the first person that worked with my son other than me. You know, I'm like, you know, you got to give it your all or just not do it at all. He stepped away for like a month or two and then he was like, I'm ready. You know, he was ready and he just was 100% all in at that point, you know, and yeah, did an amazing job. But at that point in time, we were so small that when it was time to sprawl, we didn't have anybody to sprawl with. You know, it was either really high level professionals, and it was only a few of them as well. Most of them, they would go to Dewey just to get pad work in and certain things, and then they would go elsewhere to sprawl. So with that said, we would on every Tuesday and Thursday, they had open sparring over at Extreme Coutures at 3:00. So we would go over there, and everybody would be there. Like just again, when I say open, I don't mean open like that. It was sprawling, but you still had to be a part of, you know, a group. You know what I mean? Like you had to be somebody or with somebody that was somebody. You couldn't just come in and say I want to sprawl because you had Francis Ngannou that was there, that was sprawling. You had Sean Strickland that was there, that was sprawling before he was big in the UFC and stuff like that. You had Uriah Hall. A lot of the big names would be there. So, you know, they didn't want them getting hurt, you know, and then you have some other lower people that was just coming up, getting ready to get in the UFC. So we would go over there and we would sprawl twice a week because it was the only way we can get work in. And it was amazing. It was a really good experience. You know, you got every kind of look that you can possibly get. It was either everybody there was either somebody or they were working their way up and they were getting ready they were on the cusp of being able to go to that next level. So he had a lot of high level exposure, you know what I'm saying, when he was really young. So it was cool.
Okay. All right, cool. So, you know, I'm cross training now. So I went over, and I went to a 10th Planet gym.
Okay.
And I've been working with those guys, and I actually rolled Wednesday for the first time. So first time there with them. So now the instructor told them that I was a white belt, right? So this is the second day, this, that, and other. And I didn't say that I've been already working for 2 years at Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm the only white belt in the class. So I rolled, and I was happy I didn't get tapped. Not one time. So after the second time I did a roll, one of the guys was like, wait a minute. He said, you've done something before. He was like, because he's like, I could just feel it. Like you the way you move. He's like, were you a wrestler or something? And I was like, nah, I've never wrestled a day in my life. But then I told him, I said, yeah, I've been over at Gracie for 2 years, but we don't roll over there. So I'm just learning the fundamentals over there. So I was pretty happy that the basics is starting to stick in my head because, you know, sometimes you don't know. You have no idea because you're working with your same teammates every single day. And, you know, as you get better, they're getting better also. So you don't really know how well you're getting until you know, go somewhere else. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later as far as open mats go. But that's a good way. So I was pretty pleased that was the first time that I rolled and not tapped.
Were you not getting tapped because of you using technique or you using strength? What were you relying on?
I think both.
Okay.
But because I knew the technique that I wanted to do, whether it was the scissor sweep or elbow escape, I knew what I was trying to do. And sometimes if I couldn't get it, I would still just power through and then still get it. They would still go with it. Also, I did a leg hook takedown. Okay. So yeah. So I think it was a little bit of both. And at first I was going light because they were being friendly because, you know, I'm a white belt. So they're being friendly also. But I can tell when they weren't getting certain submissions because I knew the counters to them. Then that's when they started to ramp up. And I liked it because I can hear them breathing. I can hear them working. And I was good. I was in a good position. I wasn't in any type of threat of having to tap or anything like that. And then when I felt them slow down or I hear them breathing harder, then I would make my move. So I was just trying to play a little bit smart, you know.
Yeah, you don't hear people talk about the breathing enough. Not at your level. A lot of guys, they don't understand how to read those type of things. So that's a very intelligent way of being able to gauge when you should expend a certain amount of energy, when you should try to explode out of stuff, when you should try to make moves and adjustments. You don't really hear people at the beginner level say stuff like that. And that's really good, especially when you are concerned about possibly or potentially not having the cardio to be able to fight back and forth with somebody. It's like, you know what, I would just reserve my energy for a time or a moment in time when it can be best utilized. Mm-hmm. And listening to the breathing patterns is definitely a good indication of that. So that's pretty smart, man. That's definitely using your head for sure.
Well, once again, man, I mean, I talk to you, I talk to whoever about jiu-jitsu all the time, and I ask a lot of questions. Plus, you know, by being a black belt and being in martial arts for as long as we've been, we know the right kind of questions to ask when we talking to people who are more skilled in a particular area than us, you know. So,
that's true.
So it was just kind of natural, and it was just kind of easy, you know. So, but let me ask you this: let's start our show. What are some basic techniques that everyone should master if they're competing in gi or no gi? What do you think?
Is this question from a competition standpoint, or are you just talking about master as far as just like training?
I think let's it matters. Let's do it. Let's explain all.
Okay. First of all, if you are interested, if you're currently training jiu-jitsu or you're interested in training jiu-jitsu, if you go to academy, you can tell, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus if they're being taught any differently, but for me, in my opinion, you can tell the caliber of the academy based on their initial focal point on defense. Just like a karate school. Like if you come in the karate at a traditional martial arts school, I ain't knocking nobody. But, you know, the first thing that we teach, aside from how to bow, you know what I mean, and say yes sir, no sir, is the first thing you learn. I got 1 or 2 people coming in for a trial tomorrow, and they're gonna learn how to bow. They're gonna learn how to say yes sir, no sir. After they do a couple exercises and stretch out, first thing we getting into is a sitting stance or horse riding stance or whatever you call it, and we're gonna learn some blocks first, right? There's no way I'm teaching a kid. I don't know nothing about this kid demeanor. I'm not going to teach him how to bow, say yes, sir. I'm going to pull out some hand targets and have them punch and kick it. Like, if that's how you teach, that's fine. I'm not knocking that. I'm saying that for me, you know, I want to right off the bat establish the fact that martial arts is about self-defense. And I want the first thing that you learn how to do, you know, when you come here is to be able to, you know, learn your etiquette, and then learn how to be able to learn defensive techniques. Now, we're going to, in that same session, work some punches and kicks as well, you know, aside from the blocks, obviously. But when I go to a jiu-jitsu school, I want to learn how to, I think there's people should be learning how to shrimp crawl. I think they should be learning how to bridge and upa and stuff like that. I think that we should be learning how to escape submissions first, you know what I mean, and how to survive and not get tapped. And I know that the Gracie system does an excellent job with that as well. So I know that you agree with what I'm saying, which is one of the reasons why they make you wait to roll, you know, for so long, because they're like, we need you to be fundamentally sound to begin with. So with that said, to answer your question more directly, I believe that it should be from a defensive standpoint, the things that I must master, you know, when I first started training jiu-jitsu, you know, and even as you continue to train over the course of time, is going to be things from uncomfortable positions. Starting off with your shrimp crawl is going to be one of the most vital things that you can learn is that shrimp. And the reason why is because not just from a defensive standpoint, but there's a lot of times that you have to understand how to shift your hips when you're on the ground, you know, or from an offensive position when you're going for an attack. For instance, a great one is like the Kimura. If I'm working off my back from the closed guard and I'm attacking the Kimura, I have to have great shrimp crawling principles because I have to kick out on one side to be able to get the arm. And then once I've secured the arm, I got to kick out on the other side to be able to finish the submission. Those are essentially just 2 shrimp crawls, right? So that's an offensive position or offensive attack or move, but I'm still using something that I initially learned from a defensive standpoint. So I believe that the shrimp crawl, 100%, you have to master that. You have to know it. And then the upa, the bridge and roll. Again, elevating the hips, really important. I teach this to all of my jiu-jitsu practitioners or students and to my fighters, especially to my fighters. They're the ones that just don't get this. I say there's only 2 ways to escape the bottom of the mount. I'm sorry, there's only 2 principles. I apologize. There's just 2 principles. Now, there's a lot of ways that you're going to learn, and your instructors are going to teach you how to use those 2 principles, but there's only 2 principles. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. You're either bridging or you're shrimping. If you're not doing either of those 2 things, you're not getting out, period. So, and the mount is the position that I always start people in, because whether it be from a competition standpoint, whether it be from a jiu-jitsu standpoint, whether it be from an MMA standpoint, especially, and I'll talk about that in a second, or if it's a woman being attacked or pinned down, potentially raped, if it's a man that's getting taken down in the street fight, in a bar fight, and the guy's getting on top of him, punching him, this is a very common, helpless, and vulnerable position that people just can't get out of. So this is a starting point. Let's put you in one of the worst positions starting off that's going to make you feel claustrophobic, that's going to make you freak out, that's going to make you, unhinged, and let's start there. And let's work on these principles to help you to get out of this position so that you can start feeling confident and feeling comfortable. So shrimping and bridging, those are 2 things you have to master at the beginning level, and they'll suit you well moving forward. If you watched UFC, right, and we'll talk about that if we get to it later on. If you want to see the worst jiu-jitsu that you can ever see on the planet, watch mixed martial arts, right, especially the UFC. Watch these people that's getting paid 6 figures easily to be able to hire the very best coaches on the face of the planet, not know white belt jiu-jitsu. Now, I'm very impressed with Johnny Walker's brother. Dude then peeled off 4 heel hooks, 4 in MMA at the highest level. And it's just basic heel hooks. I use heel hooks a lot, so I'm excited when I see them, because people make it seem like jiu-jitsu don't work no more. Like, that was old stuff back in the golden era of MMA. Like, jiu-jitsu don't work. So when I see somebody sub somebody with something other than a rear naked choke or a guillotine, I'm super excited. I'm posting, he's got another one. So I'm excited. But other than that, ain't nothing to watch. They're not going to get from the bottom of that mount. They're not going to do it. And when I work with guys, they never want to work from that position. Oh, I got it. I know it. I'm like, let's work from the bottom. They get ready for a fight. Okay, how's your mounting escape? I ain't going to be in that position. Get on your back and let somebody say, I need to see that. No, I got this, man. I'm telling you, I'm smooth down there. Boom, boom.
So you get that all the time? You get that all the time? You get that all the time?
I get it all the time. They never want to work from there. They always claim that they're going to be fine because they don't believe they're going to get in that position, which you shouldn't. Let me explain something to you, which is stupid and it's embarrassing. And I ain't saying I've never been mounted before. I want you to consider this. In a fight of any sort, particularly an MMA fight or street fight, the fight starts on the feet. So we were in our own corners, minding our own business. I'm a grown man, you're a grown man. We went out, we touched it up. You had to make a series of bad decisions to where the fight started on the feet, for not only for you to end up on the ground, but for another grown man to be sitting on top of you, punching and elbowing in your face. What has happened? How did you allow this many miscues to transpire to where you ended up here? We were standing up just a minute ago. How are you down on the ground? So to them, they're like, it's not going to happen to me. I'll be fine. This will never happen. I'll never be mounted. And they get mounted. And they can't get out. Dude was down there getting, I don't remember what fight it was. Dude was down there almost getting killed. Like it looked like he was being killed. He was hitting elbows. He was bleeding everywhere. It was disgusting.
Was he
and I'm like,
turning over, trying to turn over to the side with his arms up?
And just did not know what to do. Wasn't doing any of it because he wasn't bridging, and he wasn't shrimping. He was just turning over, giving his back up, giving it. So, again, to answer your question, bridging and shrimping. There's only 2 principles to get out of the mount. Even if you're at the bottom of side control, you're still bridging, you're still shrimping. You know what I mean? A lot of these positions, if I got somebody inside my closed guard and I want to stand up, this is MMA. I need to shrimp away from him so I can get back to my feet. So bridging and shrimping are 2 things that you have to master, especially at the beginning stage of jiu-jitsu. And if you master them early on, they'll suit you well, throughout your career.
I'm surprised you said. I actually thought you were going to go with an offensive attack. I thought you were going to say either the guillotine or the rear naked choke or the Kimura. So I'm really, really impressed that you said you went defense.
Attacks don't matter if I don't field them first. If I'm not the one that's peeling them off first, it doesn't matter because I'll never be in that position to be able to attack somebody if I don't get them first. And if they have equal or more knowledge than me, and then they're able to fend off those things, then I'm going to end up in a defensive position, and then I'm going to be stuck and I know how to get out anyway. So my ability to attack is just going to be, a moot point. It's going to be null and void. It's going to be rendered useless. I have to be able to defend. You said something that was very important. You talked about, you said, I went, I rolled, I didn't get tapped, by nobody, and I was really impressed by that. That's what you said. You didn't say you went over there and subbed anybody. You didn't bring that up at all but you wasn't. But look at the level of excitement you had by being able to defend. Because when you started jiu-jitsu, when I started jiu-jitsu, we realized there was a hole in our game as stand-up martial artists that needed to be filled. That if I'm being honest, all of that stuff that these people keep lying talking about, we can use this stuff on the ground and we'll be just fine. They're lying because they don't want to learn it. They don't want to admit that there is a huge hole in traditional martial arts game when it hits the ground. Yeah, I probably will do better than most, in this situation if they are not knowledgeable. But even if they are a 4-stripe white belt in jiu-jitsu, you can be a 4-degree black belt in karate and you still about to get owned, period. Because you can't kick because you're on the ground and dude sitting on top of you. Punches don't have the same type of effectiveness from your back. So if this dude is just sitting on top of you, you just can't get him off. So we started this activity because we realized that there was a void, there was a deficit. So we're excited about not being able to get choked or get submitted. When I first started, I said the same thing as you. I was like, as long as don't nobody get me, I'm straight. I could care less about submitting somebody. You know what I mean? I was frustrating people with my defense because I focused on that early on. I was already a 4th-degree black belt. So number one, I'm a man and I'm a 4th-degree black belt. You just on principle, on GP, ain't just about to sit up there, be ragdolling me around the place. I don't know nothing, but I know it's not about to happen. Like, you're going to have to come with some level of skill, even though I don't know nothing. Now I'm starting to learn 1 or 2 defensive things as well. So now people are getting frustrated because you start coupling all that together and they really can't get me. My wins, because I didn't start it to compete, I started it because I wanted it for the martial art value. My wins was the same wins that you had. I was excited every day I came home and I didn't get tapped, right? So with that, I got to make sure that I learn and focus on my defense first. Then I eventually learned a submission or a sweep that can put me off my back, get me on top, and learn a submission that I can attack one at a time. But defense is more important all day long. Doesn't matter if it's tournament or if it's just rolling or if it's street fighting. Defense is more important than offense when it comes to this.
Yeah, and think about where I came from. Like my first school was with Tyrone.
True.
I'm getting nothing but choked and tapped with Tyrone. Yep. My second school is at Jamel Jiu-Jitsu. I'm nothing but tapped and choked. That's it. The third place I spend most of my time, Mass Gym. Same thing, So now I'm at a point now where I can roll and not get tapped. Hell yeah, I was happy. Hell yeah. I'm
proud of you, man, because I never told you this. So I'll say it publicly in front of all the millions of viewers that's watching. I remember you talked about wanting to do this, and I didn't take you very seriously because I didn't believe you would take it very seriously. And you're years into this, and you talk about, and when you run down the schools, and I've known this because we've had conversation, but I didn't really consider it until you just broke down. I went from here to here to here to here, and you started talking about you've been over here for 2 years. Most people, unfortunately, and we're a new breed, so I don't want to say most people because even though we're older, we're still coming from a newer breed. So we're a lot more open-minded and a lot more curious. So we do try a lot more things. And there's a lot more availability and accessibility, but a lot of our forefathers, right? A lot of the people that came before us, they were just like, this is the Taekwondo way. This is the, Isshinryu way. This is the Shotokan way. This is the Aikido way. And it was like, don't come to me with nothing else new because what we got going here can defeat everything. And it's like, yeah, well, but I want to try this. I want to learn a little bit of this. So most of the times we either won't venture down that path or we will get just a little bit. So that way we can say that we got something out of it to add to our repertoire, and then they'll quit. But most people don't stick with it for an extended period of time to a point where they're going to other schools, cross-training and rolling and putting their black belt right on the line. You're a white belt, but you're still a black belt, right? And if somebody knows that, they're like, man, this black belt came down. So not a lot of people are willing to do that. So I commend you for that because we need more people to understand that as martial artists, we should be expanding our knowledge base, because it's not about us. It's not.
No.
You're supposed to be trying to get as much helpful information for your students to be able to put them in the best position to most realistically defend themselves should a situation occur. So you got to put your ego to the side. If you see value in something else, you need to go get that value and pass it along. And that's what you're doing, man. So I'm proud of you.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. But like you just said, man, that's the number one reason I wanted to do it. Well, back in the day, because I thought I was going to try and do some MMA fights. But now recently, it's all about my students, because, my school's in Detroit, and I have just about as many girls in my school as I do boys, and these girls are getting older. I don't know what they're going to run into in the future, but I have them now, and I'm teaching them how to defend themselves. So I got to give them all the tools that's necessary, and if I feel like something is lacking, I got to go get that education in order to bring it back and give it to them. So, yeah, man. So I'm definitely going to keep going and hopefully get better, and when I do some competition, I want to do some competition, not for me, but because I know my kids might do it. I got to be out there to help coach them.
You got to
can't depend on nobody else, exactly.
You have to experience it.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, man. So what do you think is better to help someone improve, drilling or live rolls? Because I see people, there's a lot of people, I'm guessing, like, when people get around purple belt, they feel they may not need to do as much drilling. That's what I've actually heard a lot of purple belts, not outward say, but I overheard different conversations, So what do you think?
I don't like the substitution of the drilling for the rolling. I dislike it. You hit the nail right on the head, right at that belt. It's at the purple belt is when it happens. White belts, they're not. First of all, they don't know enough to even interject or be able to have an opinion on what is the best way to be able to advance at all. They're just happy to be there, and they learned it. It's so much stuff that they've learned, and so much that they have to learn, that they're just humble, man, and just excited about the experience. Blue belt, you starting to feel like, I'm really starting to get this. I'm getting the hang of this. Like, I've tested, I've got a belt, and I'm learning how to put these things together. So you understand the value of drilling because you have to learn how to combine what it was you learned at white belt, put it together, and then make it effective. And that's where you learn it at. So you don't want to do away with the drilling. When you get purple belt, you feel like you got your black belt. You know what I mean? A lot of them they do. Because they had to really work hard and put in several years to get there. A lot of times these individuals are competing. Some of them have found and garnered some level of success. Some of them are the best at the dojo in the intermediate class they was in, or however your class is structured. But there's a certain level of haughtiness or arrogance that goes along just naturally, and confidence. And it's not unhealthy. I'm not saying that like it's like, oh, you shouldn't be that way. You should be. No, like you starting to get that chip, because what you're getting ready to go through now, you're getting ready to go through that gauntlet, and you're going to really be looked at and tested, in a way unlike no other. So you got to kind of have that little edginess, still can be friendly. I'm not saying you got to be a certain type of way towards people. I'm just saying, like, as relates to their jiu-jitsu mind, it's a little bit different. And they tend to do away with it depending upon what academy you train at and how the rules are, which they seem to be structured similar at most academies that I've ever been to. You will have an instructor, and he'll be teaching just a few techniques. But if it's a day that there's rolling, you will see that purple belt walk in with his belt, and he's got his gi wrapped in his belt. If the class started at 7, you know what I mean, he come in about 7:30. Like, he want to make sure he missed them 3 techniques.
And the warm-ups.
And the warm-ups. He missed the warm-ups and those 3 armbar techniques that the professor worked on. And if he fool around and walk in there, y'all still working on it, he gonna be in the locker room until you're done. You know what I mean? And then he gonna come out when the rolling start, and he gonna start rolling with people. And I believe that it's bad for several reasons. One, when you're a white belt or blue belt, man, you look up the purple belt, man, like, that's a big brother. Like, you like, man, he a purple belt. Like, it's huge for you. And it is. It's a really big belt. It's a fun belt. It's a tough belt, man, in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? It is. And people look up to you. You're setting a bad example, right? For the white belts, for the blue belts, you're setting a bad example. I don't think that you've even earned the right to be able to feel like that you can skip those drills, because you still have a long ways to go yourself. So you're setting a bad example for those that are below you that are watching. That's number one. Number two, you're kind of being disrespectful to the academy and to your professor because you think that you know it all and that there's no value in this process any longer, and he wouldn't or she wouldn't be teaching it if there was no value in it, so it doesn't make sense. Rolling is not a place to learn as far as how to properly combine things and problem solve and troubleshoot. I'll take that back. Let me rephrase. Rolling is a place where I'm going to learn how to problem solve and troubleshoot. But the drilling is what gives me the recipe, the formula, the techniques, the necessary understanding, and the reps. It gives me the reps as well. The drilling's for my body. It isn't just for me. When you're out there, you're not really thinking. So your brain's kind of shut off and you're responding to everything that's going on. Your body needs to understand how to respond in those moments, and it's done through repetition. The repetition is through the drilling. Rolling is a different scenario from moment to moment. It is never the same, even if you go with the same person 10 times. But when we start talking about drilling, if we're doing this drill and we repping it 10 times on each side, it's not for me. Don't be arrogant in the mind. The body needs to understand. Same way that middle. I don't middle block. I don't need to do middle block no more. What y'all doing? Middle blocks today from sitting stand, horse stands? Let me know when y'all done. And I'm gonna be in the back. We're not doing. No, you still doing. Man, my black belts, they know. Black belt class on our A days. Hey, break out that Kecho one. Somebody look through the window. They like, I don't understand. What don't you understand? They have to master this. They got to take this basic form, the first form that they learned, and they have to make it look like a black belt form because their black belts doing it. It can't still look like it looked when they learned it at yellow belt or gold belt. They have to. It has to grow with them. So if they're black belts, it should look like a black belt form. Period. Every level that they go, it has to advance. Otherwise, it'll look like it looked when they first learned it and when they first tested with it. So when you talk about this, I need their body to understand. They're going to be teaching someday. They're going to be learning other forms that have these type of components and principles in there. Drilling trains the body, right? Not necessarily, it trains the mind, but the body is what needs it. So we can't be arrogant. When you start rolling, you're now trying to actually use those moves you learned when you were drilling. They're not working the way that you would hope that they would work. So now I have to troubleshoot, I have to problem solve. But most of all, my body at least understands and recognizes what to do. And now the mind comes in and say, okay, well, why didn't that work? Why didn't that bump sweep work? Why didn't that sit-up sweep work? Why didn't that scissor sweep work? Why didn't I couldn't finish that submission? Well, the good thing is my body understood and recognized when to go for it, when to go for that sweep, when to go for that choke. But there was some type of dynamics that was wrong there, and I have to troubleshoot and figure that out. Once I do that, I go back to drilling again, and then I start drilling it to fix the problem. Have my professor help me out, take a look at it. After that, I go back and roll. Then I go on to apply. If it doesn't work again, I go back to drilling again. Then I go back to apply. So they're both important. If I had to choose one of the two, I'm going to choose drilling all day. Because again, the body needs to know and understand. We only spar once a week. It's always been like that for karate. Most karate schools do. Most karate schools do not sprawl 2, 3, 4 days a week. It's actually, people are afraid of it, many individuals, when they think about martial arts, because they equate it with sprawling or fighting, not knowing that it actually is the smallest part of our program. It's what we do the least is fighting, because all of the drilling that we need to do is what's more important to set up that baseline for when it's actually time to fight that 1 day a week. Now we go out there, we don't find any level of success. We go back on Monday and we start doing drilling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we try it again. Jiu-jitsu, you're going to roll several times, every class, probably after every class. There's no way it should take the place of drilling. You're going to naturally roll anyway. That's going to be where you start to actually try to troubleshoot and apply the things that you've learned, but you have to drill. So drilling is super important. If I have to choose which is more important, knowing that you're going to naturally roll at some point anyway, I would have to say drilling.
So let me ask you this. So how important are open mats to you to help you improve? So you go to somebody else's school. So let's say, a different every other week you visit somebody else's new school, somebody else's school, and you go there just to roll with them, just so you can roll with different people, So does that help you?
Let me ask you this question, and this matters. What are we talking about? What rank are we talking about?
Well, I wouldn't
matter.
expect white, not for white belts, but let's keep it purple. Let's say purple and brown if you're a competitor.
I think, and see, this is different too, because when you throw in a competitor, that changes things as well. Yeah. It changes things. Mm-hmm. If I think that at brown belt and black belt, you definitely, and that's just because depending upon the size of the school, you probably aren't going to have a ton of people that's active, that's at that belt color, unless you're a really big school. Mm-hmm. And then even if you do have a decent amount, you've probably went with them so many times, man, coming up and while you were there, that you definitely need somebody different. If you're talking about competing, you most definitely do, because you can't just work within the point. That's like the highest level. Brown belt, black belt, you're super high. You're gonna need some different looks, because the different schools, they play different. The jiu-jitsu plays different. They got a different game they play over there. They play over there. They work a lot of, open guard stuff over there. These guys are masters of closed guard over here. These guys, all they do is leg locks over here. You know what I mean? So like, it's so many different specialties that these different people have, that one person that I compete against at that high level at the tournament may have all of those things. So I have to go and work with these people, because each school may specialize in something different, that my opponent may be good at all of those things, or at least decent at them. You're not going to have that many looks at the white and blue belt level. And quite honestly, you're going to go places, people are going to have egos, they're going to have stuff that they're trying to prove, and then you're going to mess around and get hurt or hurt somebody. I don't like it at that level. I like being home. I believe your dojo, your dojang, your gym, whatever you want to call it, is your safe haven. I don't care what your age is. It's still like you are a child as you're learning to mature, and you need to be in a protected place and space with the people that know you, that care about you and your safety, and your professors to look over you and give you good counsel and guidance. When you go other places, you're meat for those people oftentimes. They're like, we got some new people coming in. They're getting ready for a tournament or testing, and they're going to sit up there and they're going to use you. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't like it. Purple belt, I say, yeah, as well. But again, I think that at the purple belt level, you have to be careful, because oftentimes they're very impressionable. You know what I mean? And then they'll be all over the place. They'll like lose their focus because they're so excited about things. They're at their gym or dojo, dojang or whatever half the time. They all over here, they all over there. I like it at the brown and black belt. If we're talking about competing from a competition level, definitely starting at purple belt, and up, purple, brown, black for sure. If you're talking about specifically competing, you'd have to cross train. But I'm a traditional old school martial artist. I just think that cross training is something that needs to be done by necessity, and it just depends on the situation, circumstance. Because I always advocate for people being able to stay in their own respective academies. That's a much more protected place and space. That's where somebody's going to actually care about your well-being and give you good, sound counsel, and not just look at you as another, body to be able to beat up on, you know what I mean? So you can brag, or while you getting ready for tournament or for your testing.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's move on to our next topic. UFC had an event last night, right? Mm-hmm. UFC, does it have a name?
I think it's 321 or something. I don't pay attention to the numbers no more. Half the time I don't even know when they have them anymore, because they have so many of them.
Okay, so the main event ended in a no contest. Tom Aspinall, how do you say his opponent's name? Ciryl Gane?
Ciryl Gane.
Ciryl Gane. Okay, ended in a no contest. What do you think about that? It was an eye poke, right?
Yeah. I watched the prelims. I didn't watch the main card. I needed Chris's. If you listen, I needed Chris's hookup. Chris always say, I'm a bootlegger. That's what Chris always says. So I wasn't about to pay for that. I'm like, I looked at that card. I'm not paying for that, man. And my partner, who I normally go over there and bootleg with, which you'll see him in my professional perspective, a good buddy of mine. He was busy and he forgot that it was an early UFC, thought it was late. So his house and I'm just so frustrated with MMA on so many levels, man. Like, there was a fight that happened earlier that day where somebody got elbowed in the back of the head. I forget the guy's name. I'm a fan of him, the heavyweight guy. There was a fight recently where somebody's got kicked square in the groin, and then I think that was last week. And then they tried to, was it Kevin Holland? And then he tried to continue, after his 5 minutes was up. And then I think he ended up losing the fight because he was still impaired. Before I answer the question more specifically, I'm gonna say this: we have to work on being able to enforce the rules. Otherwise, what's the purpose of the rules meeting? When you go to a sport karate tournament, they have these rules meetings. For the life of me, I don't know why we still having them. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know the rules by now, just put the rules online. You know what I mean? Like, quit wasting folks' time. Get people up there at some 8:30 in the morning so these people can sit back there and feel like they're somebody because they high level black belts and they love hearing themselves talk and they want to sit there and, okay, for forms, guys, you need to judge the forms based off of, look, we know, you know what I mean? Like, stop with the rules meetings, right? We could put these things online. For my grappling organization, I started making videos when I was having tournaments towards the end. I put the video online, and then on my website, go to the website, and there will be a video highlighting and chronicling all the rules. Guess what? The rules didn't change from tournament to tournament. So I only had to make one video, right? And then you can go watch it at your leisure. First time competing, watch the video. Sure. If you're a first time, you got questions, pull me to the side, and I'll give you a rundown of things. You can download the rules from online. But anyway, I digress. We keep having these rules meetings, but when sport karate, we quickly to enforce those things. If somebody go out there and they do something that was blatant that we talked about in the back, we already gave you a warning in the back. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to come out here and just impair fighters, and then we're going to start doing things like saying, "Oh, well, we're going to give you this warning." Every now and again, we will. Accidents happen, but not to a point where it's impairing somebody to where they can't actually function at the normal level that they were functioning at before. And then sitting there and blowing it off. Here's the word they need to take out. I can fix it. If anybody's listening, I can fix this entire MMA issue or situation right now. All you got to do is just take out one word. Where's a million? We have 1 million followers and viewers right now watching. So out of 1 million, somebody should be able to get Dana or somebody from the commission to be able to hear this. But listen, all we got to do is take out this word, and everything's fixed. Intentional.
Why is that?
Unintentional eye poke, unintentional groin strike. How do you know?
Now that's deep.
How do you know what's in my coach? We had a strategy before we got here in the back. What's that?
No, I didn't say anything. I mean,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah. What we said in the back, me and my coach, was when I go out there, I'm going to kick him straight in the groin. The first chance I get. And that was what our plan was. Now, I'm not sharing that with the referees or with anybody else. I'm not even going to make it look like I meant to do it, but I'm kicking him in his groin as hard as I can. And now the fighter that was 100% is now 50% for the remainder of the fight, right? We got $50,000 on the line, right? And I'm going to find a way to be able to cheat. I'm not going to lose a point because I'm going to make it look like an accident when we're clinching. I'm going to knee you in the groin, kick you. And then you're going to say it's unintentional. You don't know what somebody's intention is. And obviously, I'm making a scenario up. That isn't something that I honestly did. I'm giving an example. You can't know. If you penalize people the minute that they make a mistake because you warned them in the back in the rules meeting, these things will cut down and cut out. Poked in the eye, unintentional. Hey, listen, they told you in the back, you should have your hands closed. If you want to play the game where your hand is open, your fingers need to go up. They should not be going out like this here. They should be going up the post. If you make contact with somebody's eye, you're disqualified, man. You know what I mean? These guys making $250,000, $350,000. You know what I mean? Like, he may never. How do you know he gets cornea scratched and he ever see again or something like that, or need eye surgery? What do you mean unintentional? You poke somebody in the eye while you out there and he can't continue, you lose. That sets a clear example and message. I guarantee you, if you do that one time, all these people, it won't be all these unintentional pokes, hits to the back of the head, hit him in the back of the head, take a point immediately. Do it again. Well, he was turning. 1 point. You lost. Now you lose your win bonus. You lose $25,000.
I don't think the UFC works that way. Like I was telling you before, like I think Vitor Belfort and Randy Couture had a fight, and I think Vitor poked Randy in the eye, and Randy couldn't continue, and he ended up losing the belt. So Vitor ended up winning, not only winning, but he won the belt. And I don't think Randy Couture got an immediate rematch, but I think I heard Dana say something about them running this match back from last night because of that. So do you think the UFC should do more immediate rematches due to controversial endings? I mean, not even just this situation, but a lot of whether it's bad judges. What do you think?
I think that we have to define what the word immediate really means. That's number one. Because it's if we mean immediate within like a couple, weeks or months.
I'm thinking at least 6 months. I mean, because depending on how bad the fight is, what happened in the fight, a fighter might need to take time off, but before they have their next fight, and then you got to have their camps to get ready and everything. So probably 6 to 8 months, which is probably when one of those fighters should be coming around to fight again anyway.
I think that is fair if that's your definition of immediate, and I think that it should because it's easier to do in MMA than it is in boxing. Boxing immediate rematches are disaster nightmares, and the reason why is because that fighter already has what they call a mandatory, right? That doesn't happen in MMA. There's not a mandatory. The UFC or the fans pick who that person probably should fight next based on how many people that they've already beaten. Well, the next fight for you, it should be a title shot. We'll see how this plays out. They'll use the word should. Before this fight even happens, before this big boxing match even happens, there's somebody already waiting for the winner. It's already a mandatory. If you they have in the clause that they can get an immediate rematch, but a lot of times these people the mandatories, they don't want to wait. So they get upset. They'll either take another fight or they'll try to sue the fighter, because I was supposed to be next. And we got to figure in boxing, they only fight like once a year, twice a year. So if somebody get a rematch, I might not be fighting this dude for 2 years. So, and then, it's a lot of contract negotiations you have to go through with various promotions. Dana White said before, he said the reason why UFC is better, I'm better, we're better, and MMA is the best is because I own all the contracts and the fighters. I don't have to go through Top Rank. I ain't got to go through this and that. You want to see the fight happen? I can make it happen. So we got to call him on that. So that's the reason why, and it was him probably delivering on that by saying he wants to run it right back. He has the luxury of doing that. So I do believe in situations like this that there should be an immediate rematch because most of the times, not all the times, there's not a mandatory. There's somebody that's in line for it, but there's not a mandatory challenger, right, that is affecting. And then on top of it, these guys, if it just ends unfairly, they should have an opportunity to rectify situation. But also, what about the fans? What about the fans? All those people that spent all that money to see just this fighter that's flown to Abu Dhabi, you know what I mean, to go see this guy from their native and respective countries. They don't get a refund, nor do they get a credit for the next one. They do deserve it.
Now that is that's open up a can of worms right there. When you start talking about that.
Yeah, I think they should. I think it should be more immediate rematches when situations end like this for sure. It's not fair to anybody involved, including the fighters. And again, it's what a lot of people don't know. It's not like boxing. You get a flat fee. So whatever is negotiated is your purse. You get that money whether you win or lose. MMA ain't like that, man. They have a show and they have a win bonus. And that means that you get so much money for showing up just to fight. If you win, you most times get equal that in an additional bonus. So for instance, if they're saying that you get $250,000 for this fight to show up, they get $250,000. But if they win, then whoever wins, they get an additional $250,000, which is $500,000. This is life-changing money. These guys are only fighting once or twice a year. You have to assume and imagine that the lifestyle that they have carved out and built for themselves at this point is a very expensive one, right? So, and they ain't working no other job. They don't have any other regular. Tom Aspinall is not also working at a Jiffy Lube, part-time, or Walmart, or, what I'm saying, this is his job. So I lose out on my win bonus. I had that money. Like I got the 250, both of them, neither one of them get it. So it's like, what do we do? And we can't fight again until a year and a half, depending upon how bad this is. No, I need an immediate rematch. I still need my money. I got my bills at home. I got my Lambo that already picked out. It's getting detailed. That I already picked out before this fight even happened, assuming I will win. I need my money. We need to run it back.
And you got to pay your training partners. You got to pay your coaches. You got to pay management and your agents. I mean,
you have to pay. You have your booking agent. They take somewhere around 20%, unless your head instructor does it. You'll be your head coach. Booking agent by itself can take anywhere from 10 to 20%. When you start getting in 6 figures and you start getting closer to those 7 figures, the percentages go down because of the amount of money that you're making.
Right.
You got to pay your head coach. You have to pay your wrestling coach. You have to pay your striking coach. You have to pay your strength and conditioning coach. You have to pay your jiu-jitsu coach. You have to pay your wrestling coach. You have to pay, he brought in a couple, Rico Verhoeven. He brought him in, helped him get ready for it. Glory kickboxing champion. You have to pay him. You got to pay who did he bring in? Somebody like Tyson Fury or somebody. He brought somebody else in big to help him get ready. You got to pay him. He ain't come in for free or for love. When you get that money, you've already got 10 to 12 people who've been waiting for anywhere from 90 to 120 days, 3 to 4 months, working for free, waiting for your check. Like Uncle Sam, they waiting for it. So the minute you get out that cage, they just lined up. Like it's been 3 or 4 months because I got a family too. You know what I mean? I got to pay my bills. So whatever that is, and you don't get that win bonus, it is reduced exponentially. You know what I mean? When it's time to pay out make them payouts for sure.
All right, man. Let's move on to the professor's perspective. What we got?
All right. All right. So this is something a little bit different, and this will be really good for beginner level, beginner to intermediate level jiu-jitsu practitioners. Not saying it can't work for advanced, it's just a little bit tougher. Fight start on the feet, right? We talked about that a little while ago. So the hard part when you're starting off is getting and establishing grips, right? You see the grip fighting. There's a certain thing that you're seeking to be able to get yourself. There's a certain lapel or collar grip that you want to be able to get. But your opponent, your partner, whoever you're going against, they also are seeking to get it as well. So a lot of times both people kind of grab one another, and now he's neutralizing what you want to do. You're neutralizing what he wants to do. And you'll see people tugging back and forth. This is a way just to get a really quick advantage on my own. And if you don't know, we want to guard our lapels because the lapel is on our body. So if the person gets a hold of the lapel, they're not controlling my body. If they get control of my sleeve, I can rip my sleeve away. But I'm wearing the gi, right? So as long as they got that lapel, they're going to have some level of control of me. So I'm slapping and bumping, and I'm getting my grip right off the bat. I know he wants to put his hand in my lapel, so I immediately use my opposite hand to grab his sleeve and force it down. Slap, bump, I get my grip, and I grab immediately. I don't let him get his hand in because once he gets his hand in my lapel, now I have to play this game where I got to try to get it free, and I got to hand fight with them and grip fight and things like that. So once I get control, I'm going to bring my elbow up and I step in. This is not going to be a takedown. It's an entry to a takedown, right? So depending upon what your wrestling looks like, you're going to have a lot of options from here to be able to get your takedown when I get inside. So again, I'm slapping, I'm bumping. I'm immediately getting the grip that I want, and I'm using my other hand to prevent him from getting hit any grips at all. I don't want him there. See how he got my grip? I'm going to have to fight against that. It's going to be aggravating and a nuance. So I know we're getting ready to roll, so I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna slap, bump, I'll get my grip, and then I grab his sleeve. He can get no grip. I get a grip, he gets no grip. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my elbow up towards the ceiling, all right, the one that on the same side as the sleeve that I'm controlling, right? That's my left side. I'm gonna bring my elbow up and I'm gonna step my left leg inside, and that's gonna get me that entry that I need, right? So as the elbow goes up, he's fighting to try to get away. He can't. My elbow's gonna go up. I'm gonna step inside. And then once I step inside, I kind of shove the elbow through. Now I can let the lapel go, and I can let the sleeve go, and I can grab in between his legs, and I have options. I have a high C, a high crotch. If you're a wrestler, you know what that is. I have a single leg takedown where I can take him backwards or step outside, or I can drop down to my knee, and I can actually grab his far side leg, his ankle, and I can drive at him and use that more like an ankle pick or a takedown from there. But this is just the entry to get inside quickly and easily and effortlessly without having to do all of that grip fighting by letting him get control. All right. And I hate it. I can't stand that part of the game. Standing up where I'm trying to get the grips. He's trying to get the grips. This is why you see a lot of people that just sit on the ground and say, listen, I'm ready to get this. I'm just pulling. I'm ready to get this thing going. I'm expending a lot of energy, a lot of times going off the clock by us going back and forth. I hate that part of the game. I've never liked it, never got used to it, and I can't stand it. So I've definitely come up with as many ways as I can to kind of get an advantage, cheat, and not let him even get to that position. That way I can get a good entry and I can work the takedown of my choice. And that's my perspective. I think it's the best way to go to avoid from having to be able to tussle back and forth. It saves time and energy on your part.
All right. Well, that's good to know, man. I might try that. I'm somebody. I've like I said, I've never wrestled, but I'm definitely not interested in. I mean, that's gonna be it's already tiring rolling. So you're talking about something that is way more heavy on the cardio end of things before you even get down to the ground. You know, so you can.
I spent entire 5-minute rounds just doing that, standing up there and tussling back and forth with people and trying to avoid takedowns or get a takedown. Yeah. We'll be going for 5 minutes. I spent the entire 5 minutes with people never getting to the ground at all. And then on top of it, now when it's the next round, my grip strength is lessened now because I've been pulling and pushing with the person the whole time. My cardio is lower than it was before, and I got another body in front of me. And at some point, I might have to do this again with this guy for 5 minutes. It may be 3 or 4 people in before I even get to the ground to start working any actual jiu-jitsu. This ain't really jiu-jitsu. This is judo.
Yeah.
Right? This is judo. This ain't jiu-jitsu. Yeah. This part of it is judo, right?
I'm sure that wrestlers love it. They probably love it.
Wrestlers love it. Yeah. It's wrestling or it's judo. It's not really jiu-jitsu to get to the ground.
No. All right, well that was it, man. That was another good show, man. You got anything else you want to run by the audience?
No, man. We appreciate you guys' support. You guys rocking with us. We're doing better. We're being more consistent now, right? So we're doing better. We're getting better now. But we appreciate you guys rocking with us. We love you guys for sure.
Hold on 1 second, man. I got to tell you something. This week on Fists, Kicks, and Flicks.
Okay. I'm gonna have to jump on one of that with y'all. I'm jealous, man. I like to watch these movies because I'm telling you right now, if you think my take on stuff is something else, you need to get my take on some of these movies.
Well, let me tell you this: the movie we're doing this week is Absolute Dominion.
Is that right?
That's right. We're doing Absolute Dominion.
I gotta be a part of that, man. I gotta be a part of that.
Man. Well, I'll let you know when.
I gotta be a part of that. And the next time y'all watch Last Dragon, I got into it with somebody. You know what I'm saying about this before. They might be watching, I got a take on Last Dragon. It's gonna make some people mad. You know what I mean?
Well, you definitely got to come on Fists, Kicks, and Flicks. Don't. That was a nice teaser for here. You got to come on Fists, Kicks, and Flicks and explain yourself.
Absolute Dominion. Check that out, guys. I'm in that movie just a little bit, right? So check it out.
All right, everyone. Stay safe, stay strong. We'll holler at you next week, and I will end this stream.